I want to talk briefly about the test time compute. The test time compute is basically just so that the models seem to think before they answer. They make chain of thought prompts and basically they can think step by step through your problem. And with this test time compute it is basically shown that these models are a lot smarter, especially if we talk about coding, math and science. If you come for example into ChatGPT and use a model with test time compute, so these O models, O1, O3 mini, O3 mini high, or the O1 Pro mode, these models will simply think. Let's just use O3 mini high and insert a hard math question. If I send this out, this model will generate chain of thoughts. You see, this thing is reasoning right now, and then we will get a better answer. You see it here that the model has thought for 10 seconds, and if you press on it, you can basically see what the model has thought, like roughly, and then you get also your answer back. If we come to other models, for example Grok from Elon Musk, you can insert basically the same math question, so this is a hard math question, and if you press on think, this model will think, will generate its chain of thought. Here you can see it. It will think for a few seconds, and after this model has generated all of this thinking, it will give a better answer. It's the same concept that I am talking to you right now. If I tell to you what is 2 plus 2, you say immediately 4, because you use the system 1 thinking. But if on the other hand I say to you 17 times 9 divided by 3, you have to think through it step by step, and you can also call this test time compute if you want. There's a book out there that is called Thinking Fast and Slow, and basically this level 2 thinking is the slow thinking, it's the test time compute from these models. It happens that the answers are a lot better if we use this test time compute. These answers are a lot more clear, especially in fields like math and code. We are a lot better with these models, but these models are of course also a lot more expensive to use. An open source model that also has this thinking is DeepSeek. If you press on DeepThink on DeepSeek and send this out, you can also get this chain of thoughts here. You see that also this model is thinking. And if we use these models in our AI agents over an API, of course, you need to understand that these models are more expensive because we also create these thinking tokens. These thinking tokens are a lot more expensive than these other normal tokens. And of course, these models are also a lot slower. So you see, until here everything comes through, people need to wait for a little bit, especially if you want to create applications that need to be fast. It's not optimal to use thinking models. And if you create applications that need to be cheap, it's also not optimal. And if you want to create big AI agents that use different tools, it's maybe also not optimal because not every thinking model has function calling included. DeepSeek, for example, has its problems with the function calling, but more on function calling and all of this later. First, you just need to understand what's this test time compute. These thinking models, these models with test time compute, are not great for creative writing. These models are always great for things where we have a logical right answer. For example, math, code or science. In math we can really say that the answer is right. In normal language it's not really right or wrong. Creative writing is really hard to evaluate, and so we would never ever use, for example, such a thinking model in an AI agent to create blog posts, for example. This would be not an optimal way. Before you use such a model with test time compute, even if you just work in ChatGPT, always think, if you have a question where only one answer is right, you should use such a model. For example, math. If on the other hand you have a question where more answers are most likely right, like in creative writing, you should use a model without this test time compute. Long story short, the so-called test time compute, this is the next evolution from these AI models. You have already learned how LLM gets trained. We have the pre-training, we have the fine-tuning, and we have the reinforcement learning. And the next step is basically this test time compute that is also relatively newer. This is also pure reinforcement learning. So the model thinks for itself. It is based on pure reinforcement learning, and this thing is really powerful. It will create really good answers, but it's slow and expensive if we use it over the API. More on that later. I will show you later maybe some examples where these things make sense, but for the most part we will use a normal LLM with function calling, and function calling is also the word what we want to end this video, because I want to explain you in the next video exactly what function calling is meaning.